Hey guys,
Welcome back.
am I early or all right? Oh, right on time.
You're right on time. We've been sharing a little stillness in your absence.
Good. It's always good to relax.
Making sure the water's still so you can drop a stone right in the middle of it, I think.
All right.
So let's go ahead and begin. Welcome everybody. We usually begin with a little silent meditation, but we've been still here for a few minutes. So let's go ahead and start. I'm so pleased so many people were able to attend. Just a couple of reminders. We are recording. Please do mute. And if you're comfortable doing so that Jeff can see who all's here, go ahead and turn on your video so we can see your smiling faces. And Jeff and I were talking yesterday, and he had a good idea. If y'all would be interested in putting questions into the chat, and I think Jeff will probably talk for a little bit, although we haven't scripted this by any means. And then maybe we can go to your questions in chat. And Jeff, are you able to get down and see the chat once they come across? You see that down at the bottom?
Oh, what do you mean?
Down at the bottom of your screen, there's a little, if you move your cursor around, there's a little box that says chat. And
yeah, I see that. What do I do with that?
Yeah, now once people start chatting, you'll be able to see. Like there's one right now.
Yeah, I see. Okay, from Jeff to everyone. Hi, Jeff. Okay, from Ecuador. Wow. Okay, cool.
Yep. So let's go ahead and jump in. And I'd love to give a big old eloquent introduction, but Jeff Bridges doesn't need it. The only thing I will say is we were talking yesterday on video chat, and I swore to myself I wasn't going to do this, but I called him dude. And but I got to promise you, it was a lowercase d.
Yeah. Everybody, a lot of people, we all call each other dude these days, man, woman, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just part of the language these days. Doesn't have anything to do with me, really.
I've been doing it since I was a surfer before the movie.
Oh, good. You surf. All right, cool. Hey,
anyway, so
Jeff, could we have that moment of stillness, just everybody on right now with me included, so we can just kind of be still together for a second?
Let's do that. Let's just share about a minute of being silent together.
Thank you. You lead us.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm sure everyone is aware Jeff Bridges has been a friend and supporter of Zen Peacemakers for many, many years. Was a close friend, student, confidant, and collaborator with Bernie Glassman. Most everyone, a shameless commercial plug here, but most everyone knows this book. And if you've not read this, I highly recommend it. And Jeff, I'll just step aside as FA number 2 and let you go.
Yeah, well, you showed that book, Jeff, and I thought I'd just kind of riff about how Bernie and I met. And it was for it was for a dinner up in Santa Barbara for Ram Dass, and Bernie was there. Ram Dass was on my right, Bernie was on my left, and Bernie leans over and says to me, you know, I'm a big fan of the dude, of the Big Lebowski. I said, what are you talking about? He says, oh yeah, well, it's filled with koans. And I'm all about bringing Buddhist thoughts into modern times, and that movie certainly did that. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, look who wrote and directed the movie, the Koan brothers. You know, you gotta give it short line. And then he went on to say, hey, let's write a book together, you know, talking about these koans in Lebowski. And I said, what do you mean koans? He said, well, the dude abides. I mean, that's very Buddhistic, you know. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. There's another one. His favorite, and it's become one of mine. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. that's a wonderful one. But anyway, we went up to Montana. That's where I am now, and we wrote that. We, you know, hung out for about a week, and our friend Alan Kozlowski videoed it and taped it and everything, and then it was all transcribed. And Eve, you all know Eve Marco, she kind of edited and made us all kind of sound, you know, sane. And that's the book, and it was a wonderful adventure. And Bernie and I remained friends for many, many years after that. And just he's you know, such a wonderful spirit. I really feel so fortunate to have him cross my path and be my buddy. And that's about it. And oh, and then, you know, as Jeff was saying, I thought, you know, what Bernie used to do when he was giving a talk, he would never, you know, really prepare. He said he would just show up, and that was the deal. And first thing he would do would be to ask people what they wanted to talk about, and you know, everybody would write, you know, notes on little pieces of paper, and then he had those, and he would look at those, and that's what his talk would be about. So I thought maybe we could do a similar thing. If you guys have things you want to talk about, just we got that chat button down there. I see there. What does it look? That number 6 is on there, Jeff. Does that mean there's 6 guys in the chat, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, it means yeah, we've got about 5 or 6 chats in there. A couple of them are just reminding everybody to mute, so you can ignore those. But
okay. Well, do you get those questions, Jeff? Why don't you field those questions if any are coming in, or you know, when anybody wants to talk about, let's talk. As I was thinking of this is mainly as a hang, you know, not a Dharma talk or anything. I'm not a special.
I can't hear. Do you think that this goes into the iPhone to use this speaker?
So are you having trouble hearing me?
Could everyone who's not, there we go. Yes, please be sure to mute if you're not speaking. Jeff, tell you what, let's do this. There's a good way to call on people so you can hear their voices too.
Oh, good.
That's a little more intimate. I think that's nice. So if anybody has a question for Mr. Bridges, please go down to participants and raise your electronic hand, and I'll see you, and then he can hear you, and it'll be personal. Mikko from Finland, please unmute and go ahead. Good to see you, Mikko.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Hey there, Mikko.
I just wanted to thank you for the book, because it was actually the book that brought me into the Zen Peacemakers, and I've been very tightly involved for the past 3 or 4 years. And my question is that do you have a practice of the three tenets? It was Bernie's main teaching, not knowing and bearing witness and taking actions. How do you see that?
Yeah, I carry that with me all the time. I mean, I apply that and through so many aspects of my life. I think it's really a gift that Bernie gave us with those three tenets. I'm trying to think of something. Yeah, I guess I'm doing that right now. You know, I certainly don't know what's going to pop out of my mouth. And we're bearing witness together. Here we are. And out of that comes some sort of action. And it usually has to do with love and compassion, I find. And it's just a wonderful path, you know. What pops into my mind just right now is, you know, probably my main relationship is with my wife. You know, we've been married now. She's gonna, what's the number? I want to say 42. It might be 43. It might be 44. I can't remember exactly. But we have a wonderful relationship, and every once in a while, we will, maybe this is in the book, because we talk a lot about this stuff in the book, but every once in a while we'll have what I call kind of our prime bump or our prime disagreement where it, you know, really gets to us, each other, you know, and the theme of that war, that primal war, our battle is, you don't get it. You don't understand what it's like, you know. And that's so accurate. That's a real truth, I think, because none of us really know what's going on with the other person. And that's kind of what we have in common, you know. None of us really know shit. So my wife and I make a practice where when we have that, you know, that familiar battle, and we seem to have it less and less these days, we sit, you know, in chairs, you know, close to each other, and we just take turns sharing our thought, and the other person, while that person is sharing their thoughts, the other person just receives, you know, just listens. And we start it with that feeling of not knowing, you know, we don't really know what's going on, what should happen, who's at fault. We don't know that, but we're just going to be together and bear this discomfort and all the joy and the different things that bubble up through that. And sometimes it doesn't work. You know, sometimes, you know, you don't get that relief that you're looking for, but you do feel some sort of shift. And we can, you know, we can always come back to that. But that not knowing, man, that's, I think that's essential. I don't think anybody, and this is just my opinion, man, but I don't think anybody really knows what's going on.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Miko. And there's a question here from my buddy Jeff Sauls in Ecuador. But Jeff, I'm going to let you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask that only if you turn on your video so we can see you.
That's it. You drive a hard bargain there, Jeffrey.
Hey, man.
Anyway, honored to be in the presence of the great Jeff Bridges we admire, and blah, blah, blah. You get that too often. But here's my question. Probably like the rest of us, you're sitting here in outer space in the Twilight Zone, trying to draw some meaning, some purpose from all that's going on around us. And so the question I've been dying to ask you from your, I only want your opinion is really all I'm asking for. Yeah. But, you know, what, is there a lesson personally, societally that you feel we can draw? Is there an advantage to be had here? What's it all about, Alfie? Your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I know what you're saying. You know, it's that not knowing and this meaning that you're talking about that we're all striving for. You know, what the hell does this all mean? I recently got into the Sisyphus myth. Are you hip to that at all?
Yeah.
You know, and it was this terrible punishment that he was, you know, sentenced to, of rolling this rock up this mountain, and then just as it gets to the top, it rolls down, you know, goes back and rolls it up. And that sounds familiar to me, you know. And, but he kind of turned the whole thing around. And he loved the rock. And he found the rock fascinating and all the different shifts. And he made the rock and this kind of absurd situation that he gave that meaning by just loving it and finding it fascinating, you know. And that struck me. I said, yeah, I could dig that. Another thing that pops in my mind is Frankel's Man's Search for Meaning, you know, that book, you know. Meaning, it's up to each one of us, I think. That's my opinion of what the hell the thing means, you know, what's going on. I mean, gee, it shifts all the time. It's, you know, I don't know. What do you think? What's your feeling of meaning and reason and all that stuff?
Oh, well, we moved to Ecuador because I think we find ourselves wanting to gracefully distance, socially distance from the sort of the aggressivity and the acquisition orientation of our culture. And I feel like it's a real opportunity for us to have that moment of quiet together that we had at the very beginning, to sit quietly without all our suppositions and assumptions in place, and be maybe long enough to allow some reorganizing of our internal world, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm finding that too, you know, this COVID thing. It's like a big timeout. It's like, go to your room and just think about what's been going on and notice your habits and you know, it's given us time to notice something. It's like a giant sitting, you know, the world is sitting.
Exactly.
And if there was any doubt about we're not all in this together, you know, we're not one. I mean, just check out what's happening. This is a world thing, man. This is a, you know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I haven't figured that quite out. It's probably you know, the whole gamut of, you know, the whole kit and caboodle, you know.
Well, I was just thinking the other day, we have all these science fiction movies about extraterrestrials coming from outer space, and we finally unify as a planet. Maybe the extraterrestrials have come from inner space, but we still have the same opportunity, something beyond us to bring us together.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines that I've ever got to say in the movies is I played an alien, one of these guys, in a movie called Starman.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And Karen Allen's characters, you know, kind of helping me out, and Charlie Martin Smith is there. I'm starting to fade in my characters, you know, kind of losing the life force. And I tell Charlie what I appreciate most about you human beings is that when things are at their worst, you are at your best. What a lovely thought, you know. And it's that old thing I find in life often, just personally, you know, those very things that you call a drag or, you know, it's a pity that happened. Those are often, that's where the gold is, you know. You can kind of hang with that. I find it can really be a place of growth and blessing, you know, and the reverse is true. Sometimes when it just feels like I'm just loving this, you know, so that's dangerous for me. I can get, you know, I can go a little overboard, you know. That's another great function in my relationship with my wife. She serves as a lovely wet blanket to dampen my exuberance at times, and I appreciate that. Not a damp blanket. I wouldn't say it's wet. It's damp.
Thank you, Jeffs. And I promise, I think sometime in the next month, we'll have a meeting where everybody is named Jeff. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff from Ecuador. We have a number of hands up, so let's keep moving here. Eddie from Long Island, you've been patient. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us hear from you.
Jeff, very nice to meet you. Thank you.
I can't see him, man. Where is he?
You might have to scan around, Jeff.
Coming on another page.
Eddie
I'm
from
waving.
Long Island, wave your hands. Yeah, and
Eddie.
you see those little triangles
Oh,
on the right?
I see Eddie. Now, do I click on Eddie? Because Jeff came up big screen. Now,
Yeah, if you click on me, I should expand. I've been known to do that.
you're not expanding, man. clicking on you, and all it just says is chat on there. But I can see you that size. That's okay.
Very cool. Very
What's
cool.
up, Eddie?
First off, thank you. In
There
a
you go.
little
Now I got you.
in a little bit of a strange way, you brought me to practice, and this is many years before the Big Lebowski. So I always thought to myself, if I had the opportunity to ask you a question, which now I do, the question would be, what brought you to this practice? Is there any one thing? And I'm sure, I believe it predates you getting involved with Bernie, but what brought you to practice? What was there any one thing that was instrumental in it?
Well, I guess as you asked that, I sense a certain momentum that probably started at my birth, and the bed that I was lucky enough to be born into. My parents were such remarkable folks. I'm trying to think where to start with this thing. So much pours into my head. I get back. Maybe I'll just, this thing that I'm resisting to say, I'll just say it. My parents, a year before I was born, my parents had a child, Gary, who died of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And it was such a, I can't imagine anything more tragic than that, and how they lived through that, and the courage that they showed to have another kid. My middle name is Leon. I'm named after a doctor named Leon Bellis, who was a wonderful man, and he delivered all my mom's kids. And he told my mom, "You got to get back up on the horse, Dottie. Do it again." So I think that showed tremendous courage, and yeah, talk about not knowing and bearing witness and moving on with love and compassion. That's that's a great example of that. Anyway, just to give you a little tip on my folks, my mom, I think this is all in this book that I think, Bernie, but she used to have this thing with time. She would give an hour each day to each kid, and it wasn't a duty thing. She dug it, and of course the kids dug it. But during that hour, she wouldn't answer the phone. She said, "No, I'm having my time with Jeff. We're under the table playing spaceman. Call Betty back. Whatever." And we did that all through, all through her life. Later on, I would call her up, in my, well, let's say go back in the teens, it would be, "Mom, give me a massage," and she would just rub me for an hour, Later on, I'd say, "Hey, it's time for, time, Mom. How about let me take you out to dinner," take her out. And then I remember going through, the teens when I told her, "Mom, don't you get it? I just don't dig you anymore." God, what a hurtful thing. Broke her heart. Can you imagine? But we didn't stop there. We let it, again, not knowing, bearing witness, bloomed and love, rebloomed. That was kind of an idea of my mom. My mom, we called her the general. She was the center of our family. And my father was such a compassionate guy. I can remember one of my early memories of him bringing a book to our family called The Family of Man. Do you guys know that book? I think it was started out as a photographic essay for Life magazine, but it was a book about what it's like to be alive all over the world, all the different ways that people live. And my dad would say, this is what it's all about. We're a family. We're all in this together. You know, we've got to take care of each other. You know, we got to take care of the planet. And he was, you know, very much into creating a healthy environment. And that TV show Sea Hunt really turned him onto the ocean and, you know, keeping the ocean healthy. And this is kind of like, you know, it's a long answer to a question.
Yeah.
But then I found myself, my mom used to make us read this book called The Daily Word. Are you guys familiar with that? It's a Unity puts it out, and it's funny. It's got a little Buddhistic, you know, bent to it sometimes. But she would make us read that book every morning at breakfast, and we say, "Oh, Mom, do I have you? Yeah, read it." And I notice right now, I still get that book, and I read it every day. Today was a good one, Joy. I think that's a wonderful reminder how available joy is to all of us. And then, so I felt drawn to you know, spiritual things. I remember going into the Coast Guard, and you know, that's going into boot camp in those 10 weeks where they strip you of your identity. Yeah, it's a kind of a fascinating experience. You know, they try to, you know, get rid of your personality, and you're just a number. You know,
I relate. Navy.
you remember,
Navy,
yeah.
Navy, I
At
can
some
relate.
point, our you know, what do they call them? Not drill sergeant. What do they call them in the Navy? Your
The petty officer.
the petty officer. Yeah, he says, "All right, assholes, it's Sunday. For those of you who don't want to go to church, you can go on the grinder at Highport. Who all wants to go to church?" And you know, of course, everybody goes to go. And now we're in there, and this chaplain there says, "I just want to tell you guys something. When you're here, you're not in the military. You're in, you know, the house of God here, you know." Oh, what a relief. And the way that you can just make that adjustment in your mind. It's such an amazing thing. But I took him up on that, and I said, "Oh man, okay." And we kicked off a great relationship. Don Harris was his name, and he let me play guitar, and you know, in the middle of some of the services. And when we won Honor Company, you know, every company kind of wins that towards the end. And he said, "I'm going to do something. I'm going to break the rules. But when you get Honor Company, I'm going to get some civvies for you, and I'm going to take you somewhere." And this is we were in Terminal Island outside of San Francisco. And he takes me to the Carousel Ballroom to see the Jefferson Airplane, and you know, oh my gosh, you know, it was just, they were just coming out. And I said, "Oh man, this is so wonderful." And and then he turned me on to he probably turned me on to Man's Search for Meaning. He might have turned me on to that Frankel book, but I know he turned me on to The Last Temptation. You guys ever read that book, Kazantzakis? Wow.
Absolutely.
He is so cool. And I want to recommend The Saviors of God, which is a fascinating book of his that I think you guys might dig. But that whole thing about, you know, that book really made an impression on me. And I've just been, you know, kind of fascinated by philosophy, by spirituality. And, you know, when you're fascinated by things, life kind of puts them in front of you. And just like it put Bernie in front of me, you know, all of a sudden he says, "Hey, you want to write a book? You know, you want to go a little deeper?" Sure, okay, you know, and one thing leads to another. And here we are talking on Zoom.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And by the way, it was Kevin Flynn, both movies, that brought me here. In a strange way, but yes. And thank you for that.
Thank you, Eddie.
You know, something else that just popped into my mind that I'd like to share with you guys. I don't know why this has been on my mind, but talking about that, how you can shift your mind, you know, just changes the whole experience. Are you guys familiar with stereograms? I don't know if any of you are, but that's something to Google or get a book called The Magic Eye. But what a stereogram is, it looks like just a bunch of dots and chaos. And you look at that and you say, what do you see? You say, well, no, it's just a bunch of dots and random chaos. And then if you do a certain thing and you put it right up to your nose and slowly pull it away and relax your focus, all of a sudden, boom, a 3D image will appear before your eyes. And I think what's happening scientifically, you're using a part of your eye that's not used for close focus, but you're using your peripheral vision in a close-up way or something, and boom, this whole thing happens. And I love that. Oh, look what you got there. Now, can we do it here with this?
I don't know, man. This is the one you sent me yesterday.
Yeah, oh, no, I know. I just sent you, what I sent you was a whole, yeah, I've got it. I don't know if you guys have got it. This isn't a picture, but this gives you a 3-dimensional thing. So if you put your face up to that screen there and slowly pull your eyes back, all of a sudden, a 3-dimensionality will appear. Anyway, it's just, again, it's about focus. I think that's such an interesting thing, where you choose to focus your mind. And that, I don't know, that seems like it might be an interesting thing to you guys. You might check that out.
Genyo, you've had your hand up for a while. John Sprague, if you'd like to unmute yourself and maybe wave your hand so Jeff can find you, because we've got
hi.
We've got 3 screens here, so.
So I don't know if the speaker thing makes me come into the center. It does sometimes for some people.
It does, yeah. There you are. I see you.
So hello, Jeff. So good to see you.
There you are. Yeah, good. Hey.
Yeah, we actually met once, and it has to do with music, because it was at Bernie's 70th birthday party at a pizza place in New York City.
Oh, that was a good hand.
Yeah, I was the sound guy and I had my keyboard there, and I sat in while you play with your friend. His name is John too, right?
John Goodwin, yeah.
Yeah, so I was part of the band for that night.
Oh, cool.
That was fun. It was really fun. So I wanted to ask you about kind of the relationship of like the 3 tenets, if you will, or to being a creator, to being an artist. So, I mean, particularly for me, it's about playing music.
Well, everybody's still learning, how to live with this stuff, because it's not like, anything that's ever happened before.
Whoop.
I'm not sure what that is. Can everyone else please mute? I'm not sure what that is.
I heard some, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, there you go. It's responding not knowingly to what's going on. So, for me, like as a musician, particularly as an improvising musician, but it could be, I wonder how this relates to when you're playing something fixed, or you have your set lines that you're going to do as an actor, but still you have to be in the moment, right? You can't just do it by rote. So for me, I find that if I do that not knowing and then be really present in the moment, that helps me with my creativity. It's like the creativity is fresh, and it's always a model for me to how to respond in my relationships, like you were talking about. So I wonder if you could speak to, yourself as an artist and how the 3 tenets function there.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Well, I find I'm a pretty anxious guy. And performing, it's kind of ironic. I really, I guess I have a love-hate thing with performance. And I guess most things I have a love-hate kind of relationship with. I often perform with my daughter, Jessie, and we'll be in the wings together, and we're both anxious and nervous. And he said, what the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? Come on, you know, what did we do? And then we get out on the stage and we just have a ball, you know, and it's wonderful. I'm thinking in the movies, again, I had this performance anxiety, and so I'll spend a lot of time preparing. You know, I'm one of those guys who likes to learn his lines quite well as best I can. So I'm facile with them, you know, and they come out. I don't have to think about it. It's funny. Some guys, I worked with this actor, Joey Pantoliano, who doesn't memorize his lines at all. He puts an earwig in his ear, and he has his assistant off in the, you know, in some other room telling him his lines. And when I worked with him, it was a funny effect that I said, oh, I want to try that, you know. But he would kind of like, you know, be looking at my forehead after I say a line, and then he would say his line, you know, but it was a wonderful effect. I think Brando did that too. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of roads to Rome, but I would be very, you know, concerned about doing a good job, especially if it's a, you know, if you've got great material, you want to, you know, you want to do it justice. So I'll prepare, you know, in my hotel room. And then you come to the set the day, and it's supposed to be a sunny day at the lake, and all of a sudden it's pouring down rain, and you know, one of the actors is sick, and it's not how you imagined it at all, you know. That's where not knowing and bearing witness comes in very handy. You just, you know, like relax, smile, make that little shift, just like in your head with a stereogram. You say, hey, joy is available here. It's around here. So, oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, now we're going. Okay, I don't know. What's going on, guys? What do you want to do? Let's do some good. Let's make something beautiful, you know. And, you know, as an artist, John, I think, you know, maybe you experience this, but the task as an artist is kind of getting out of the way, you know, let the thing flow through you. And when that happens, it's just, you know, it's a wonderful feeling. And,
That's right.
and it's funny, you know, having been an artist and an actor and a singer, you know, for so long, you think that anxiety would go away, that fear, but it doesn't seem to go away. You know, I'm familiar with it, but it just seems as fresh and threatening as ever, all the time. It's funny. I don't know. You guys experience that same thing? What do you think, John?
Well, once you get going though, then like you said, then it flows through you, and it's like, it's kind of like you're not even doing it yourself.
That's right. That's the best. That's when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in meditating, you know, where you're observing your breath, you know, you're being breathed, you know. I remember my daughter, I've often asked the question, you know, why do people like The Big Lebowski so much? What is it about the dude that people like so much? And I always kind of have to struggle with that. I thought it's just a great movie. Those guys are masters, you know, they can make it look easy and you don't see their effort, you know, but they're so talented. But my daughter, Jess, she said something interesting. She said, well, people like the dude because, he doesn't do anything. He's dude. He's done. You know what I mean? It's like the breathing thing. You know, you're not breathing. You're just noticing that you're being breathed. You know, maybe that's why people like the dude, because he's duding. Yeah. And that's interesting. You know, Bernie made an interesting little thing there. He says, you know where the dude abides? And I said, well, everywhere? He says, no, he abides in the land of non-abiding, which is, yeah, I said, oh yeah, and I kind of got into that. And that's a wonderful thing to, you know, don't be so stuck in your, in who you are and what's going on, you know. Be facile with it, you know. I like that.
Yeah, thanks so much. Speaking of responding to the moment, I just got, right before it was my turn, my 90-year-old father, who I'm helping shelter my parents in place here, called me to tell me that they needed help because the master bedroom bathroom toilet was plugged. So I have to go do some plunging.
Thanks for that, John.
Plunging, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It was delightful.
Plunging is practice. David Hobbs from Seattle, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself. Thanks so much for raising your hand.
Yep. Jeff, great to meet you. I have to say that Tron was probably one of the most influential movies of my life as a child. It set my course as a technologist. And, you know, I played the video games when I was 13 years old, ripping off quarters from my dad so I could fill the machine. And when I was in India with Bernie, he talked about Tron Legacy and, you know, kind of working with you about the dream world. And, you know, I'm kind of curious to get your take on, you know, I guess the allegory of maybe even like the multiverse and, you know, this reality that we perceive ourselves as being in today. You know, because obviously as a technologist, I listen to Elon Musk and folks saying that, hey, this life that we're in is not even real. It's a simulation and a computer. And of course, you know, having grown up with Tron in my life, even to a point that I bought a Tron light cycle, a full-size electric, you know, hollow wheel light cycle, because that's how much it meant to me. I'm kind of curious about what, you know, your time with Bernie and doing Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking about it, it sparked a couple of memories, you know. Making that original Tron was so fascinating. This guy, it was his first movie, Steven Lisberger. And he had this wild, you know, idea. And I guess it was Disney, I think, is that who produced it? You know, they said, okay, we'll fund this thing. It was shot in 70 millimeter black and white. And it was so weird going to work. You know, we had these white costumes on in black. Everything was, you know, velveteen black stuff. And when you go outside, I remember the colors would just, you know, rush into your head. And he, I don't think a more experienced director would have done this, but the walls of the studio were lined with video games that you didn't have to put a quarter into. So you can imagine how, you know, distracting that was from working. And I remember I got into a game called Battle Zone with these tanks. You remember that? And
Yeah.
And they would say, Jeff, we got to shoot the scene. I say, I'm preparing, please, I'm preparing. Yeah. And it would really put me in the world, you know, those vector lines and so forth. But that was we had a good time on that. And then when the second Tron came, again, another first-time director, Joe Kosinski. Can you imagine? I don't know how much that, hundreds of millions of dollars. Can you imagine having as your first assignment, you know, a movie like that? And he was like falling off a log. He just did it so well. And yeah, I taught, and as I was talking, as we was reading the script, I said, you know, we ought to have some sort of spiritual aspect to this movie. I'm buddies with this guy, Bernie Glassman, you know, who is a Zen master. You know, what do you think? Do you want to meet with him? And he really liked that idea. And so I remember inviting Bernie to this big conference with, you know, all the, you know, the cinematographer, all the prop guys, the set guys, and the director and producers were at this long table. And I brought my Tron hat with me, my original Tron hat. And I said, here, this is my friend Bernie. Bernie, I'd like you to put this hat on and jam, you know, tell us any thoughts that might come into your head. So he put the hat on. He said, I'd like to make one addition. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his red nose, and put that on. So there he was in the Tron hat with his red nose, and he started to go on and talk. And in comes our main financial guy in the door, and he looks, he said, what is going on? He just put his head in there. Bernie looked up and like this, and the guy looked at him and just closed the door, you know. But Bernie, you know, I love that, Bernie's humor, you know. He always had that nose. And when it would get to highfalutin or whatever, he'd either put the nose on the person or put it on himself, you know, just as a reminder, hey, come on, let's not take this too seriously, you know. That's something, that just saying that phrase, this is something my mom used to say to me when I would go off to work. And I would have that anxious feeling, and she could tell her son was anxious or fearful. And she said, Jeff, remember, don't take it too seriously and have fun. I said, oh, thank you, Mom. And now my wife will say that same thing to me as I go off to work. And I think one of the key word in there for me is the word too, T-O-O. You know, don't take it too seriously. You can take it as seriously as you want, but not too seriously, because that'll take the fun out of it, and that will, you know, hamper the whole deal. So just, you know, have fun. Don't take it too seriously.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
And in the spirit of Bernie, we got a question came in over chat from our friend Kosan Alpern. How has your practice, your Zen practice, affected your acting career, Jeff?
Oh.
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Well, it really helps a lot. I kind of, you know, meditate throughout the day and get into that unknowing place, you know, and again, that relaxation. Another thing I learned from my dad, you know, he taught me all the basics, but of acting. But the thing I think I learned most from him was the joy in which he approached his work. You know, I worked with him as an adult 2 times in a movie called Tucker and a movie called Blown Away. And in both those movies, whenever he came on the set, he had such joy about what we were all doing and how excited he was. And that joy was contagious. It kind of would ripple through the company. And everybody said, oh yeah, this is kind of fun. You know, and when you're in that fun mode, that joyful mode, you relax. And I find when I relax, that's when I can get out of my way and the good stuff kind of has its way, you know, with all of us. Now I'm off the question. What was the question again?
Question was, you know,
sitting, yeah. So, you know, so I'll sit to, you know, again, that, you know, the 3 tenants, you know, that's, you know, just, you know, don't take your, you know, all the anxiety, don't take that too seriously, man. You know, just not know, you know, you don't know what that is. Is that, maybe it's a good thing, you know, I don't know. It's just, you know, just relaxing. Isn't relaxing a challenge, man? Gee. But anyway, I meditate, I pray often, you know, for the, you know, the spirit or whatever's going on to have its way with me, you know. Help me be sensitive, look around. You know, you never know where a beautiful piece of direction can happen. You hear a lot of actors that they, you know, don't want people, they don't want to be distracted by the crew, and so the crew has to, you know, kind of shy away from them. Some actors, you know, they don't. They want to keep that fantasy going. They don't want anybody to call them their real name and that kind of thing. And there's many ways that can work. The way I like when I'm working, wherever it is, if it's like we're right here, right now, this is kind of work play vibe here, what we're doing. To me, or if I'm making a movie or doing the music, I like the idea that we're all impulses in the same mind, sort of, you know. And so I will, you know, if a new person comes on the set, you know, I'll try to go over to them and welcome them and bring them into it. I don't want anybody to be a stranger, you know. I want everyone, so I can relax, you know, because if I think, oh, there's a stranger over there, I don't know who that guy, you know, I'll try to, you know, bring him into the mix. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Jeff. And our friend Kathleen from Bonn, Germany has a question. Kathleen, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, and hi.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Jeff, can you see me? It's me with a peace flag.
Yeah, there I see you, yeah.
Hi, hello.
Hey.
Good to see you, hi. So I have a question concerning the third tenet. So in the middle of all this not knowing and kind of abiding in this strange world situation, are there any projects you kind of direct your engagement to, your loving compassion? Which kind of projects do you support these days? Or is it more like having an ex-president winning against COVID, or the climate crisis or something? So are there any fields of action, engagement that you're following?
Yeah, a bunch of things come to mind when you say that. A lot of these answers are kind of long. I'll see if I can truncate them a little bit or cut to the chase. Let me think now. Well, yeah, you know, just like I met Bernie, you know, I was kind of interested in what he had to say, and I was always kind of attracted to that. I remember when Trump became president, I really wanted to give the guy a shot. You know, I said, no, he's our pres. This is what, you know, the majority so-called, you know, wants. Okay, he's our representative. He represents us. And then when I saw some of the paths he was leading us towards, I found I couldn't agree with that. I don't think that was the right direction, you know. During that time, I was asked by a filmmaker, Susan Kuchera. She called me up and she said, do you want to make a documentary, narrate a documentary about the environment and global warming and this sort of thing? And I said, yeah, I would. And again, this is that momentum from my father who was so involved in it. And I've always been involved with, you know, trying to make our planet a healthy one. But here was an opportunity. Somebody was saying this. And as I examined those thoughts in my head, I kind of, you know, I thought, you know, I don't want to make a film that's, you know, pointing fingers at the bad oil guys or do a doom thing. Everybody's so, you know, frightened with what's going on with our planet, what the scientists are saying. I want to find a new angle, and again, let's do something. So we met, and she felt that same way. And what seemed to come to us was we were both so curious why we were behaving as a species the way we are when all our scientists are telling us these facts. And so that's what we ended up doing, kind of taking a look under the hood and see what makes us tick. Why do we behave this way? And we got a wonderful team of from all different kind of walks of life, philosophers, scientists, you know, all talking about what's going on. And we made this movie called Living in the Future's Past. And I'm really pleased with that movie. I'd encourage you guys to check it out. I think it might give you, if you haven't seen it, it might give you a fresh thought about things. So, you know, so then what was interesting about that to me, that suddenly doing that, participating in that way, Trump shifted. My feelings about Trump shifted. and he became one of the team as well. I don't know if you guys read the Last Temptation of Christ, but Judas is sort of the hero of that book. He said, yeah, I'll be the bad guy. Someone's got to be the bad guy. Someone's got to show us our shadow, And so that's what Trump is doing. I've kind of made a shift of that. And I hope he doesn't become president next time, but there is a certain value that he's given us. He represents an aspect of ourselves that is so important for us to recognize. Now just moving on, another thing that happened recently, my musical director, Chris Polonis, he has a wonderful guitar shop in Solvang, California, outside of Santa Barbara. And he had these beautiful guitars by this guitar maker, Breedlove. And I said, oh, that's a cool name. He said, yeah, but they're beautiful guitars. And he showed me this guitar. And he said, one of the things I think you'd especially like about this guitar, being into the environment as you are, that these guitars are all made with sustainable wood. I said, really? He says, yeah. He says, you've always been talking about a signature guitar, wanting to, put a message on the neck and everything. And this might be a chance to do that. So I said, okay. And I met with this guy, Tom Bedell, who is so passionate about his work. And he said, it's not just about, aren't we the best company because we have sustainable guitars? I'm trying to encourage all instrument builders, that build their instruments with wood to think about the trees that you're cutting down to make this wood, whatever. You guys read that book, The Overstory? It's a wonderful book about trees and so forth. And there's a line I'm going to misquote a bit, but it's like, if you cut something down, at least make something at least as beautiful as that you're cutting down. I love that idea. And I also am a friend of a guy named Mark Plotkin, who has an organization called the Amazon Conservation Team. And I've been on their board for a while, and I got him involved. So he just makes sure that all of the wood is in fact sustainable, that was, that got very, this is a long, I forget your name, but the Peace Lady, this is a long answer. I've got so many, my brain is firing with so many different things that I've been inspired to engage in. That living in the future's past has really bloomed into some wonderful things. We've been talking to Costco, got very involved, we talked to 1,000 of their managers, international managers, and they all want to, get involved with making sure that their company is environmentally sound as possible. And I'm working with another buddy, Susan Kuchera, the director of that, and my other dear friend, Brooks Branch. We are thinking about what if, my wife Sue has often said, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a corpocracy. It's really corporations that are really running things. And so we're thinking, yeah, maybe we shouldn't, because the feds are kind of moving slow on this environment thing. Maybe we should go right to the biggest corporations in the world, Amazon, Costco, Walmart, Alibaba, the big guys, and see if we can make a treaty, a retail treaty with these guys, saying all our suppliers have to follow these, these measures to create a healthy planet. And our thought is, I mean, it might be a naive one, but that's kind of where we're going, is we're working with corporations to see if they can help turn this environment, the global warming and all that around. Not that the feds don't have an important part, they certainly do, but we can't just look to them for all the answers. We've got to look into ourselves. So what are we willing to do? I don't know, you guys have probably heard me talk about trim tabbing. I'm a big fan of Bucky Fuller. And, shall I talk about that, or has everybody heard about trim tabbing? I don't know.
I think you probably could. Now, but I want to be mindful of your time too, Jeff. It's a few minutes after the hour, but if you're willing to keep going.
Yeah, I'll go as long as you guys want. I mean, trim tabbing, and this, we don't mention it in Living in the Future's Past, unfortunately, but there are other great things in that movie. But trim tabbing, Bucky Fuller made a interesting observation. He saw these big ocean-going tankers and these enormous ships, and he found that the engineers of these ships were challenged by this huge rudder that it would take to turn this big ship. And they came up with a beautiful, elegant, simple solution of putting a small rudder on the big rudder. So the little rudder turns the big rudder, and the big rudder turns the ship. And Bucky said, that's a great metaphor for how the individual is connected to society and culture and the differences that we can all make. We're all trim tabs. And I love that idea. And I think it's certainly true, So, it's not just looking for the miracle of the government or some other guy taking, charge, but each one of us, we can do make a unique difference to the way things are. And we're all connected to more powerful, people than ourselves that can make an even bigger difference. So that connecting, one of the things that's in the film that I read, Living in the Future's Past, that was kind of new to me, was this idea of emergent behavior. You see it in schools of fish or flocks of birds. And we are also, we behave in that way too. There's an emergence going on, and you never know what little thing can change the actual shape of the school of fish, of the flock of birds. Everyone has there's no leader in those things. There's just, it's just being done. It's being dude, and we're all a part of that dude that's doing.
Are you up for another question here, or how are you doing?
Sure.
We don't want to overstay our welcome, but Lindsay Lunan chatted in a question, and I think Jeff, this kind of takes it back to the personal and the moment by moment. What do you do in your daily life to help you abide?
Well, the 3 tenets come to mind, all the time. So interesting, all these feelings that go through our bodies. It's like weather, and, to dig the rain when it's raining, it's, that's a way to abide. Again, abide in the land of non-abiding. Don't be so attached to your own beliefs, your own thoughts, your own mind weather, that kind of thing. Say, can I play you guys a couple of songs?
I think we'd love that. Yeah.
Okay.
And while you're getting set, and you and I talked about this yesterday, and I took you at your word. So I'll go ahead and you suggested I mention this, so I'll go ahead.
Oh yeah.
There's a rumor that we might be doing a silent auction for one of Jeff's signature Breedlove guitars. And somebody asked on the chat, that guitar shop, the only place that sells his signature guitar, and this is an acoustic concert style cutaway 6-string, and that's it right there, is Lost Chord Guitars in Solvang, California.
Yeah, is that backwards or is that right?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
good. Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar built out of myrtle wood.
So,
And you know, something else came to me. Thanks for saying that. Did you say that we were going to auction that thing off?
well, I'm saying that that you and I had that conversation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We're pursuing the idea of doing a silent auction as a fundraiser for Zen Peacemakers. So stand by.
And something else I just jotted down here, and I forgot to mention when we were talking about that, about Tron and the, you know, the weird world of Tron. Just something I want to turn you guys on to. I don't know if you know the artist Jim Woodring, but he has this series of books that are wonderful called Frank. And it just kind of reminds me of, you know, that wild world that we all live in. Here's a couple of tunes that just popped into my mind that I thought I might play. This one is a Lucinda Williams tune. And I think it's based on a poem of her father's. And I like it. It goes like this. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit is always a sign, always a sign, always a sign. For those you encounter, have compassion, even if they don't want it. What seems bad manners is always a sign, always a sign, always a sign. Always a sign of things no ears have heard. Always a sign of things no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there where the spirit meets the bone. Down there where the spirit meets the bone. Down where the spirit meets the bone. For those you listen to, have compassion, even if they don't want it. It seems cynicism is always a sign, always a sign, always a sign. Always a sign of things no ears have heard. Always a sign of things no eyes have seen. You do not know what wars are going on down there where the spirit meets the bone. Down there where the spirit meets the bone. Down where the spirit meets the bone. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yeah.
And her dad, Miller Williams, wrote that, or she wrote that, Jeff?
Well, I think I heard it was based on a poem that her dad wrote. But that's you know, that I think of our press when I think of that song. You know, all these battles within each of us that none of us are really privy to. Are all stirring the pot, all the ingredients in there. Here's another tune. Now this tune is written by my old friend Johnny Goodwin, along with a couple other guys. And this is, we're going to have a lyric sheet, you know, video coming out soon. You can get it on iTunes now. I got friends that love their. All right, let me start again. got friends that love the Pope, friends that love their dope. I guess we're all just trying to find a higher place. Got friends that fit the mold, friends that dance on poles. In my living room, no one's out of place. My welcome mat. Don't care if you're white or black. Don't care if you're thin or fat. It ain't there to judge all that. My heart's an open door. Don't care if you're rich or poor. Ain't the world just a big front porch? Anyway, got friends that pay for fake ones. Some are happy with what God gave them. Oh, they can all hang out at my house any day. Sorry, not today. We got the whole virus thing going, but you know what I'm saying. I got friends that love their babies. Some are still single in their 80s. Yeah, we're all a little crazy, but that's okay. My welcome mat. Don't care if you're white or black. Don't care if you got two dads. It ain't there to judge all that. My heart's an open door. Don't care if you're rich or poor. Ain't the world just a big front porch? Anyway, we all laugh at different jokes. We paint with different strokes, but we all look the same from 10,000 feet above. And we all need love. Yeah, we all need love. We all need love, my welcome mat. Don't care if you're white or black. Don't care if you're thin or fat. It ain't there to judge all that. I fucked up that verse. I'm gonna do that one again. My welcome man. Don't care if you're white or black, blue, red, or Republican. It don't give a shit about that. My heart's an open door. Don't care if you're rich or poor. Ain't the world just a big front porch? Anyway, with a welcome man. Now I've got friends that love the Pope, friends that love their dope. I guess we're all just trying to find a higher place.
Real nice.
All
Real
right,
nice.
a little imperfection for you guys.
Well, yeah, Jeff, wasn't it Miles Davis that said something about?
That's right, no mistakes, man. Yeah,
Well, no, but he said we leave the mistakes in the recording so that in the future, when they come and dig us up, they can know that the music was made by people.
There you go. I like that. That's new for me. Thank you. Well, it's good hanging out with you people.
Thanks so much for giving us your time and giving us some extra time.
Cool, man.
And you will be a forever friend of Zen Peacemakers, and maybe we get together with you again sometime in the future. And
I'd love to do that, Jeff. Good hanging with you guys.
Okay, everybody, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
And everyone, take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. Be
Stay
kind.
safe.
Thank you so much.
Yes, be kind.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Yeah, put that shot of my band up there, Jeff.
Let's do that. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on here. Hold on. Here it comes.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much.
See y'all later.
Oh, that's
See you
not
later.
your band.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you. תודה רבה.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thanks so much, Jeff. You rock.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Awesome.
See you by the dreaming tree.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Thank
the
you so
dream
much.
tree, man. See you later, alligators.